Top 5 recently serial killer in America. The first is Bryan Kohberger.
There have been calls by some for the public to contact me and my office in an attempt to influence my decision-making in this case. This has been extraordinarily disruptive for court staff. It's also highly inappropriate. Court is not supposed to, and this court will never, take into account public sentiment regarding its judicial decisions. I ask that you not continue to mount such campaigns. The elected prosecutor is the sole authority in deciding what charges to pursue, as well as what penalties to ask for. This court cannot require the prosecutor to seek the death penalty, nor would it be appropriate for this court to attempt to do that. I have not read any of the numerous messages, nor listened to any of the numerous voicemails. Those have all been forwarded to security and, where appropriate, to law enforcement.
July 2025, a date that is now written forever in the history of true crime in America.
Well, I will say, we have no intention of calling all the family members. We have the intention of calling a few of the family members who serve certain purposes. I can't think of a reason that we couldn't. Obviously, it's not ideal. It's completely out of context. It's out of order.
This is like a gumbo. You are going to put all the pieces that go into that into the pot. And at the end of the day, the jury's going to decide whether it's a good soup or not from the state's perspective. And so I think we get too obsessively stuck on the idea of exactly the order these things need to come in, right? And so I'm not sure why you couldn't call the family members you need up front, and then we take away this concern. I can certainly understand from the defense perspective the need and desire to have the defendant's support family here in the courtroom.
Bryan Kohberger, a name people knew only as a suspect, said himself in court today, guilty. Kohberger stood in the courtroom wearing a suit, absolutely calm. There was no guilt, no regret on his face. Judge Stephen Hippler questioned him separately on each charge, and Kohberger, without any hesitation, said every time, guilty. When he made this confession, there was a dead silence in the courtroom. There were tears in the eyes of the victim families, but that was not relief. That was an absolute justice, in which there was no answer. The court made it clear, this guilty plea is a legal agreement. In exchange for the death penalty, Kohberger will get life imprisonment without parole, 4 different life sentences, plus 10 years for burglary. What does that mean? He will never come out again. No appeal, no parole, no mercy. But the biggest impact of this plea was that there would be no trial now. And when there was no trial, there would be no cross-examination. Whatever motive the killer had in his mind, it will never come out in front of the court. So yes, Bryan Kohberger said guilty, but he never told why. And perhaps this why is the biggest pain in this case. Why did Bryan Kohberger take a guilty plea? Was it a strategy or pressure? Was it a strategy or was he cornered? When Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilt, the biggest question that arises is why? Did he really admit his crime? Or was it just a calculated move, a game plan? If we look at the timeline of the entire case, Kohberger and his lawyers tried to delay the trial from the very beginning. First, a motion was filed that media coverage was creating bias. Then it was said that Kohberger has autism spectrum disorder, so he is not eligible for the death penalty. At one point, they even argued that the DNA evidence was collected illegally. But Judge Stephen Hippler rejected all these arguments. The court clearly said, the evidence is strong, the trial will take place on time, and the death penalty is also on the table. And this was that moment when the defense team realized that now nothing was left. The evidence against Kohberger was not just circumstantial, it was direct. The sheath of a combat knife several times on which Kohberger's DNA was found. Phone records, which were tracking his movements multiple times around the crime scene. His white Hyundai Elantra, which was recorded in surveillance on the night of the crime. Despite being a criminal justice student, Kohberger could not escape this trap. So when he realized that going to trial would mean a death sentence, then he cut the deal. He received immunity from the death penalty in exchange for a guilty plea, but his condition was no appeals, no parole, life imprisonment till death. Legal experts say it was a tactical surrender. A surrender in which a person saves himself from total annihilation, but does not accept anything emotionally. And the scariest part, despite saying guilty in the courtroom, there was no emotion on Bryan Kohberger's face, no remorse, no guilt, no grief. So was it really a surrender, or was it just a cold, calculated move so that he remained alive and the control remained in his hands? No one has an answer, but this much is certain. This guilty plea is a shortcut to justice, but it can also be the graveyard of truth. Reaction of victim families, closure or anger. The first thing that made headlines outside the courtroom after Bryan Kohberger's guilty plea was the reaction of the victim families. 4 families, 4 children, 4 different emotions. Ethan Chapin's family hid their pain and said, "We're grateful this is over. We don't have to hear the details. We can begin to heal." Madison Mogan and Zana Knodl's loved ones also called the plea a peaceful closure. But it was not that simple. Kaylee Goncalves' family, especially her father Steve Goncalves, were furious as they left the courtroom. He said, "The killer got mercy, but he did not give even a moment to my daughter." Kaylee's sister Aubrey wrote an emotional open letter.
And second is Jeffrey Dahmer and
A person whose home's fridge was filled not just with food, but with dead bodies. A story which does not end after the murder, it only begins then.
In biology class, we had the usual of fetal pigs, and I took the remains of that home and kept the skin. And I just started branching out, dogs, cats. I suppose it could have turned into a normal hobby like taxidermy. And all I know is that I wanted to see what the insides of these animals looked like. There may have been some violence involved, some underlying subconscious feelings of violence.
This is not just the story of a killer. This is the journey of a monster who survived by hiding the deaths of 17 people behind the mask of a normal boy. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, a name which has been written among the most deadly serial killers of America, a hunting devil.
I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography.
That's true.
And it's real. It's true.
The person to blame is sitting right across from you. That's the only person. Not parents, not society, not pornography. I mean, those are just excuses.
What do you think about what he said about pornography?
Pornography? I've been looking at it all my life and it hasn't affected me anything.
Who not only killed the corpses of his victims, but preserved their body parts, ate them, and kept their pictures with them. From 1978 to 1991, this man killed 17 young boys, one after the other. But his first murder, that was the most horrifying because a monster was born on that day. So let's start from the day that started a story written in blood in American history. June 18th, 1978. Jeffrey Dahmer's first murder. Starting date, time, year of crime involved. It all began on June 18th, 1978. a warm summer evening in Bath Township, Ohio. The sun was setting when a young Jeffrey Dahmer spotted his first victim, 18-year-old hitchhiker, Stephen Hicks. Dahmer, just 18 himself, had recently graduated high school, but instead of heading off to college parties or finding a summer job, he drove straight into darkness. At around 5:30 p.m., he picked up Hicks, offering him a ride, a few beers, and a place to chill. By 7 p.m., Hicks was dead, bludgeoned with a dumbbell, strangled and hidden in the basement. This was no accident. It was the beginning of a chilling reign of terror that would stretch over 13 years and claim 17 innocent lives. And that very night, something inside Jeffrey Dahmer broke. Permanently.
Who was the killer? The name? Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer. But the world remembers him as the Milwaukee Cannibal. A soft-spoken, polite man with a monster hiding behind his glasses. To neighbors, he was shy and quiet. To his victims, he was death itself. He didn't kill for revenge, money, or hate. He killed because he wanted full control. Control over bodies, over life, over death. He lured young men with offers of cash or photo shoots only to murder them brutally. And then, he kept their remains, sometimes for weeks. He wasn't just a killer, he was a collector, a manipulator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But every monster has an origin. So where did Jeffrey's madness begin? Killer's real name and early life. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21st, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His father, Lionel, was a chemist, and his mother, Joyce, struggled with anxiety and depression.
Third is Ted Bundy.
Bundy killed his first known victim in February 1974 in Washington, and his later crimes stretched to Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and Idaho. He frequently revisited the bodies of his victims, grooming and performing sex acts on the corpses until decomposition and destruction by wild animals made further interactions impossible. Along with the murders, Bundy was also a prolific burglar, and on a few occasions he broke into homes at night and bludgeoned, maimed, strangled, and sexually assaulted his victims in their sleep. In 1975, Bundy was arrested and jailed in Utah for aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault. He then became a suspect in a progressively longer list of unsolved homicides in several states. Facing murder charges in Colorado, Bundy engineered 2 dramatic escapes and committed further assaults in Florida, including 3 murders, before being recaptured in 1978. For the Florida homicides, he received 3 death sentences in 2 trials and was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on January 24, 1989. The victim name is number 1, Linda Ann Healy, 21 years, February 1, 1974, Seattle, Washington. Number 2, Donna Gail Manson, 19 years, March 12, 1974, Olympia, Washington. Number 3, Susan Elaine Rancourt, 18 years, April 17, 1974, Ellensburg, Washington. Number 4, Roberta Kathleen Parks, 22 years, May 6, 1974, Corvallis, Oregon. Number 5. Brenda Carol Ball, 22 years, June 1, 1974, Burien, Washington. Number 6. Jorgan Hawkins, 18 years, June 11, 1974, Seattle, Washington. Number 7. Janice Ann Ott, 23 years, July 14, 1974, Lake Sammamish, Washington. Number 8. Denise Marie Nasland, 19 years, July 14, 1974, Lake Sammamish, Washington. Number 9. Nancy Wilcox, 16 years, October 2, 1974, Holiday, Utah. Number 10. Melissa Ann Smith, 17 years, October 18, 1974, Midvale, Utah. Number 11. Laura Ann Amy, 17 years, October 31, 1974, Lehi, Utah. Number 12. Carol DeRonch, survived, 18 years, November 8, 1974, Murray, Utah. Number 13. Deborah Jean Kent, 17 years, November 8, 1974. Bountiful, Utah, number 14. Corinne Eileen Campbell, 23 years. January 12, 1975. Snowmass, Colorado, number 15. Julie Cunningham, 26 years. March 15, 1975. Vail, Colorado, number 16. Denise Lynn Oliverson, 24 years. April 6, 1975. Grand Junction, Colorado, number 17. Lynette Dawn Culver, 12 years, May 6, 1975. Pocatello, Idaho, number 18. Susan Curtis, 15 years, June 28, 1975. Provo, Utah, number 19. Kimberly Leach, 12 years, February 9, 1978. Lake City, Florida. And the last serial killer name is BTK Killer. Dennis Lynn Rader, born March 9, 1945, better known as the BTK Killer, the BTK Strangler, or simply BTK, is an American serial killer who murdered at least 10 people in Wichita and Park City, Kansas, between 1974 and 1991. Although he occasionally killed or attempted to kill men and children, Rader typically targeted women. His victims were often attacked in their homes, then bound, sometimes with objects from their homes, and either suffocated with a plastic bag or manually strangled with a ligature. BTK Killer, Victims List, numbered. Number 1. Joseph Otero. Relation: father, husband. Age: 38. Date of murder: January 15, 1974. Number 2. Julie Otero. Relation: mother, wife of Joseph. Age: 34. Date of murder: January 15, 1974. Number 3. Joseph Joey Otero Jr. Relation: son of Joseph and Julie. Age: 9. Date of murder: January 15, 1974. Number 4. Josephine Josie Otero. Relation: daughter of Joseph and Julie. Age: 11. Date of murder: January 15, 1974. Number 5. Catherine D. Bright. Relation: college student. Age: 21. Date of murder: April 4, 1974. Number 6. Shirley Vian. Relation: mother of 3. Age: 21. 24. Date of murder: March 17, 1977. Number 7. Nancy Fox. Relation: single woman, lived alone. Age: 25. Date of murder: December 8, 1977. Number 8. Marine or Marina. Hedge relation. BTK's neighbor. Age: 53. Date of murder: April 27, 1985. Number 9. Vicky Vagel. Relation: mother, attacked at home. Age: 28. Date of murder: September 16, 1986. Number 10. Dolores E. Davis. Relation: elderly woman, lived alone. Age: 62. Date of murder: January 19, 1991. So I announce in this video that my next video is going to be on top 5 female serial killers in America. If you are interested in watching true crime documentary videos, then please do subscribe to my channel because I keep uploading very interesting case videos on my channel.